Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Mirror, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gauranga, Haribo, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaurnitai ki jai, Krishna Balaram ki jai, Radha Shamasundar ki jai. So, Hare Krishna, everybody, welcome after your wonderful Sankirtan Yagya in the market in Ponce de Leon, Ponce Market. And I think a few books went out at least. It's wonderful. So this evening, short but sweet, we will try to enter a little bit into the mood of Srila Prabhupada's mission. And particularly when Prabhupada arrived in Boston, we also entered America this time in Boston, then transited to Atlanta. Prabhupada transited to New York, but his immigration was in Boston. Passport, visa, check in Boston itself. So, very historic occasion on September the 17th, 1965. Srila Prabhupada arrived in Boston Harbor and got his visa for America. And on the 18th, because the ship set sail for New York in the evening, cargo ship that he was on. And that morning of the 18th, I mean, Srila Prabhupada would, a very daunting challenge. We may think, I do, difficult to go out, especially in a new place, and try to approach people on the street. You know, you don't know what they're going to say or what their moods are. And many times you feel a little bit hesitant. What to speak of Srila Prabhupada arriving alone in America, foreign land, hardly people could understand his English. Very difficult to understand, especially then. And he was very foreign, I mean, dressed. Nowadays people are familiar with all kinds of dress, and particularly that dress which you're wearing, and brahmacharis are wearing, ladies are wearing, Indian, whatever you call it, Asian. Many people think you're a Buddhist, but it was very rare in those days. It was quite everyone, practically speaking, everyone would look at you like you were, they didn't know what to think, crazy or some, maybe Buddhist, of course, but all kinds of strange comments. So Srila Prabhupada came to that strange land, different culture, different language, different everything, practically. And from the mundane point of view, different religion, everything different. And he was warned by Srimati Maharaji and her secretary, Mr. Chokshi, Swamiji, do not go there. They were all eating meat, and nobody will be interested in your message. They will not listen. Stay here. I will help you to pay for the translations and publications of your books. Mrs. Srimati Maharaji was even speaking like that. And Prabhupada didn't hear it at all. He just, no, he wasn't interested. My order of my guru is success or failure is not the point. He said we're not going there to, because we think we can succeed. We're going there on the order of my spiritual master. Whether people hear or don't hear, we'll preach to the sun, to the moon. We'll preach whatever, to empty rooms, whatever, to the stars. We're going there to serve my Gurudev. I'm not going there. It's not my mission. I'm just instrument of my spiritual master's desire. Success or failure is irrelevant. Prabhupada said, we want a certificate from the Supreme Lord, not from a pack of asses. We want a certificate from God. He tried to serve my devotee. That's the success. So Prabhupada compiled this song, Markine, which means basically preaching Krishna consciousness in America. Markine refers to America. Bhagavata Dharma, preaching the message of Godhead in America. And we'll see here, sometimes we talk about what is our constitution. I mean, from a society, not from the body, but society constitution. What is our purpose? Basically speaking, that can be defined internally, externally. Externally, we see various things, to establish communities, farm communities, to teach, train people in the practices of Krishna consciousness, to awaken remembrance of Krishna in people's hearts, to publish books, of course, and to create sort of holy places where people can come and practice simple living and high thinking, different things like that. Prabhupada also wrote, although it doesn't appear in the ISKCON incorporation document, if you see his actual full document, which was shortened in the incorporation document, it also originally included to establish the Varnashram system, though it's only indirectly indicated in the incorporation document. So whatever it was that Prabhupada later on put externally as our mission, internally the foundation can be found in this particular poem what we call a poem, but we can sing it, or we try to anyway, of this, the inner mood. The real constitution of a person is internal. The constitution of this movement is internal. It's not just external achievements, external activities, but an internal state of consciousness. So that is, you could say, very much prominent in this poem of Srila Prabhupada. His humble, surrendered, dependent, helpless mood, as you'll see when we read the translation of this. Maybe we should read the translation first so you get into the mood. Let's go forward to the translation. So this is English translation, more or less, of the poem, written by Srila Prabhupada, and he's addressing the Supreme Lord. This is the second poem which we know of that he wrote on his journey to America. The other one we just briefly called Prayers to the Lotus Feet. It was equally beautiful and meaningful. But we'll sing this one tonight, if we can. My dear Lord Krishna, Prabhupada writes. He wrote in Bengali, this is in someone's translated into English. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me, but I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? I don't know how people in America think about America, but different people have different opinions, I guess. But generally when people come from Asia to America, not always, but generally they're expecting some kind of heavenly planet or something, where everything's like, the streets are paved with gold or something like that. You see that it's not quite like that, but still, relatively speaking, America is quite materially advanced in many ways. But Prabhupada described it as a terrible place, and why? Because most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it, but I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible, because you are the most expert mystic. So Prabhupada didn't have any idea how they'd understand it. He was just an ambassador, but didn't know how the local people would take to it. But he's taken shelter by Krishna's mercy, then it's possible, because you are expert. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service, O Lord? I'm simply praying for your mercy, so I will be able to convince them about your message. Prabhupada wasn't thinking that I'm the doer. He's praying for Krishna's mercy. He's just seeing himself as an instrument. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will, and therefore, if you like, by your will they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. And it's not just a whim of the Lord that we've come under the illusory energy. You could take it like that almost. It almost sounds like that. By your will, every living entity has come under the illusory energy. So you can say, well, what can we say? It's not in our control. But what is it? Because of the living entity's desire, this desire to be independent of Krishna, try to be. Without the will of the Lord, you can't be. So the first is the inclination of the living entity. But to fulfill that inclination or desire of the living entity is not possible without the will of the Lord. Not a blade of grass moves without his will. So he's reciprocating with the living entity. Just like a parent, the child may want something, but is incapable of obtaining it only by the mercy of the parent. can he get that sweet or toy or whatever it is that the child wants? Because he's helpless. Hare Krishna, new arrival. Your good name?
Hare Krishna. My name is Brandon.
Brendan? What?
Brandon.
Brendan. I got it right. Good. Welcome, Brendan. Are you also local here?
No, I'm actually traveling from the ISKCON Boston temple down to Krishna House, Gainesville.
Oh, you're going to Gainesville. You're just passing through. Well, that's very nice. You're staying here tonight?
I was planning on staying at the regular temple, the Atlanta.
Oh, the temple in Ponce. We just came from Ponce. We were there this afternoon on Harinam, chanting. And we just came from Boston also.
That's where I first met you.
Ah, you know each other. Good. So welcome. And what was your name?
Alex.
Alex?
Yes.
Alex and Brendan. Thank you both for coming. So it's only by the mercy of Krishna that we're in this. It doesn't sound perhaps mercy from one point of view, but he's reciprocating with us because we want to forget him. We want to be independent. We're trying to remember him now, of course, but initially the living entity wants to live apart from, let's say, the presence of the Lord. So this material world is arranged for that reason by the Lord to accommodate the errant or the rebels, as we heard the other day in class, the rebellious jivas. It's like in any state, they may have some prison, penitentiary, whatever you call it here, a prison for the rebellious citizens, so-called rebellious. So we're all kind of rebellious in this material world, specifically for those who want to see themselves in the center and try to enjoy with themselves in the center. That's why it's here. On the spiritual plane, everyone's enjoying beyond our imagination, but with Krishna in the center. So Krishna provides this for his parts and parcels. Those who choose this, we have free will. And we come into this, and if we want to get out, if the desire awakens again that we want to become dependent lovers of the Lord, then it's only by the will of the Lord that we're able to get release. Just like in a prison, you can't just get out on your own. You have to be released by the authorities. Even if you serve your time, they can still keep you in if they want. But by their grace or by the grace or whatever, but by their arrangement, one is released from the prison. Similarly, the living entity can be liberated from this material conditioning of having a material body, of life, birth and death, and lifetime after lifetime, suffering, whatever. Liberated from all of that and taken back to, or enter into the spiritual kingdom of God by the will or the grace of God. Otherwise we can't, even if we desire it. Depends on his will. I wish that you made so. Krishna's will is very much influenced by the will of his pure devotees. Like a parent is also not totally dependent upon by any means, but controlled by the will, or not say parent, but a lover, by the beloved. In real loving relationships, your business is to please the beloved, more or less, and vice versa. So Krishna wants to satisfy his devotees, his pure devotees. Whenever they want, Krishna tries to satisfy or fulfill their will. So Prabhupada's will is revealed here. I wish that you may deliver them. Pure devotees want. We see this in the various histories of the whatever histories are available, which we hear about, whether it's the mood of Lord Jesus Christ or the mood of Vasudeva Datta and other Haridas Thakur, great personalities whom we hear about, pray for the welfare of all living entities. May they be delivered. Please deliver them, my Lord. They don't know what they're doing. Please maybe deliver them from the reactions at least, and ultimately deliver them back to Godhead. Reawaken them from their sleep. I wish you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. So that's the key point. It's not just like, boom, like that. But the deliverance is that the Lord gives the ability, the mercy, that people may understand, just like you're distributing books about Krishna consciousness, but to understand those books, we make an effort. But ultimately is the mercy of the Lord gives them the ability to understand that message therein, whether it's this book or that book, but the message is the same. To understand it means to, not just to theoretically, but to understand how it applies to us in our lives and to put it into practice in our lives. That understanding. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada wrote, are your incarnation, and if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if a sober person, it doesn't mean somebody who's, was drunk the night before and has now become sober. I mean, you could say that, but someone was telling me, so what's Lakshman? Where's Lakshman here? Lakshman? Here he is. Was telling me in Sweden that the people are very standoffish, they're very, they were not very reciprocal, they're not very relaxed or open or easygoing. They're a bit stiff and impersonal. It's only when they're drunk are they receptive. So they're certainly not sober by kind of like mundane definition. But they're more receptive than the so-called sober people. They're more relaxed, they're more open. They're very self-conscious otherwise. In America, people are not they don't have such a problem with that, I mean, you can even knock them over and send them flying into the sanctum party, and they laugh and smile and apologize, I hope you're okay. I was thinking, if that happened in France, the police would be arresting us. I mean, maybe not, but that sort of thing is like that. People would be infuriated if you did that. The whole, it'd be a complete scene of anger and fury, basically, normally speaking. But here people are much more easygoing, relaxed. What to do? Everywhere is different. So, the point is here that is Krishna's giving that understanding. And what does this sober mean? It basically means they're not so infatuated matirna Krishna padatoksvatova mitobi padyeta grihavitanam. And people are so much addicted to family attachments, sense gratification of various kinds. So much attached to their dogs like anything, it seems like. Is that typical? So many people have dogs. Is that common? Dog is the man's best friend. Nothing, by the way, against dogs whatsoever. They're jivas, living entities. They deserve all the mercy they can get. But our attachment to them in terms of material attachment is very strong, very strong. In this mentality, it's very difficult to understand the transcendental message. And who's addicted to sense gratification can't really hear this. They're in denial of their spiritual existence and absorbed in trying to enjoy this world as being our property for my pleasures. The devotees are so expert, they still find a way in there. And through that conditioning, they also present a means by where the person is convinced to take the books, whatever it is, some mundane point in a sense. At least it's not actually everyone's suffering, but they think in terms of material life suffering, anxiety, stress, fear, and so on. And that way you can sometimes capture people or higher taste. Or I see people like spiritual things. They would have no idea what it is, but the concept of these are spiritual books is kind of like something which is a little esoteric, a little bit interesting. Some people like that too. different ways attracting people. And but the essential feature, like in this poem, is the will, the consciousness of the devotee, the meaning, the purpose, whatever you say, but the inner heart of the devotee. So those people who are sober, they maybe don't understand it, so it takes a while hearing the holy name, even ourselves, of course, chanting and hearing, dancing, honoring prasadam, rendering service. Gradually we may understand this message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's Prabhupada's original Bhagavatams. Well, they had a nice colourful cover. These are without the cover. And they're kind of plain looking, really. Not very attractive to Western. They look like a couple of centuries old. In the 19th century, this was early 20th, this type of book was common. Looking like that, printed very simply. And so then Prabhupada included in this poem the famous, some of them, not all, some of the famous verses in the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Famous verses. The first one I think is Srinvatam Svakata Krishna, isn't it? Yes, Srinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtan Vidyantak Stoya Badvani Vidyanoti Savitsatam Nashta Prayesho Badresha. Those series of verses. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, the super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous, when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering a service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable, that means it can't be taken back. It's one way. You can pass beyond doubt. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Thus the knot in the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. That can refer, in this case it seems to infer the jiva, because it's a small s, although it refers to the Supreme Lord as master. However, even from a, let's say, a non-devotional point of view, the understanding that the self is actually above this mind, intelligence, and physical form of senses and body. The soul is actually meant to be, you could say, the master of the senses, the master of the direction, the intelligence, supposed to be under the direction of the soul, but unfortunately, people are under the control, they're slaves of their mind and senses. They're trying always to serve. Instead of being Swami, they're Das, servants of their mind and senses. So the soul is supposed to be the master of the senses, the master of, in that regards. So you could look at it like that, but devotee sees it both ways. But ultimately that Krishna is the actual master, not us. We're all trying to be masters in the material world, controllers, enjoyers, and so on, seeing ourselves in the center. Master sees themselves in the center. Then Prabhupada goes on with his personal poem. He will become liberated, if we understand Bhagavatam. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. In the process, all inauspicious things. Or the process of purification starts right from day one. But the complete, all inauspicious, not just inauspicious things, but all disappear in the core of the heart when one actually understands the Srimad Bhagavatam fully. How will I make them understand this message? Now Prabhupada's getting into his own relationship here with the mission he's been given by his Gurudev. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. And Prabhupada's not kind of using this as an excuse. Sometimes we use this as an excuse to get out of doing something. Oh no, Prabhupada, I'm too fallen for that. I can't do that. Prabhupada's saying like that here. Our acharyas, we see it again and again. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, particularly in his various compilations of songs, expresses his helpless, hopeless incompetence, lack of qualification, and you name it. Being due to too much attachment to materialism. So he's expressing this. A pure devotee feels like this also. It's not just some, words to put on some false humility. They actually feel like this. And they're not only words for us either. It's actual inner heart feeling of complete helplessness and incompetency or unqualification, disqualification. But they submit themselves to the Lord. Do what you want with me, as you wish. They're teaching us because we do have all of these characteristics, whether we accept or not, that we're unqualified. We're full of material attachments and pride. And we heard this morning so many different anarthas there are covering our hearts. When especially pride, we're so puffed up, we think we know what we're doing, or we think we're something great. But ultimately we're nothing, we are, but nothing of any significance in this sense of the word. We're just meant to be our eternal constitution, which is servant of servant, 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 servant. Not a very, if your parents ask you when you're a kid, what would you like to be when you grow up, son or daughter, whatever you are? What would you like to be? And you tell your mum and dad, I'd like to be a servant of a servant, 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 servant when I grow up. They would think you're mad, completely mad. What nonsense are you speaking? Like the same thing with Lord Nrsingadeva and Prahlad Maharaj, when Prahlad Maharaj expressed the best thing he heard, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, and so on. His father wasn't very impressed. He was really upset to hear his son say like that. So you think you've got to make the grade in the material world, you've got to become some kind of master of some kind or another. But that's not the constitution of the living entity. We're by nature servants. I know people don't like that when you hear it much. They don't think that that's a very good concept. Why should I be a servant? But that's where happiness really was to be found. Satisfaction of the soul. Harmonious, peaceful, completely free of all stress and anxiety, and enjoying a loving relationship with Krishna. I mean, we're all looking for love, peace, happiness, and that's where it's to be found. Not in the role of trying to establish it with me in the center. Then a relationship with the finger trying to enjoy separate from the body doesn't work. We're all part and parcel. Mami Vangsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We're all part and parcel of Krishna. We have to play our part accordingly. And we'll be satisfied. You're part of an orchestra, you have to play your part, then you get a nice philharmonic sound. You play the wrong part, you get a cacophonic, a horrible sound. Complete rah. That's what the material was like. Everyone's trying to be the center. Everyone's trying to blow their own trumpet and make everyone think that they're on top of the world or something. Look at me. But it doesn't work. Everyone's clash. There's constant clashes going on every level. So Prabhupada was not like that. Therefore I am seeking your benediction. so that I can convince them. Otherwise I have no capacity. I'm powerless. Somehow or another, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, O my Lord, it is up to you to make me as successful or failure as you like. Just whatever you wish, I accept it. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. Prabhupada's greatness, it wasn't his own message, he's repeating what Krishna said. Many times people would challenge, I'm not saying that, Krishna said that. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding, if you like. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I'm sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I'm just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord. Make me dance as you like. Yeah? That's the choice of the living entity. I just want to please you, Krishna. Why don't you have this choice? This is the borderline of our choices. I have no devotion, Prabhupada says, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar. And there's no one around. Prabhupada wrote this on his own. There was no even a thought that anyone would ever read it necessarily. In fact, it was found many years later in one of Prabhupada's trunks, which he left behind in 26 Second Avenue when he went to India. And the Devas found it in his trunk, or some Prabhupada asked them to look for something, and I don't know what it was. But they found this poem in there. Prabhupada had written alone, but he's not alone. He's writing this to the Supreme Lord. This is Krishna is his best friend, and he's writing to him like this. I'm just between him and Krishna. There was no one else there. It wasn't like addressing an audience of any kind. It's Krishna. Very personal. This is the underlying root foundation document of our movement. And this is signed September 18th. In Boston, Commonwealth Pier. You know Commonwealth Pier? Brian, you know Commonwealth Pier? Brendan?
I don't know about the pier, but Commonwealth Avenue is where
Well, that's the temple is. Well, it's funny that Prabhupada arrived in Commonwealth Pier. It's next to the fish market pier, and if it still is, there's a big fish pier. And the next one to that is the Commonwealth Pier. That's where Prabhupada arrived in Boston. And now the temple's in Commonwealth Avenue, so maybe there's something related to that Commonwealth Pier to Commonwealth Avenue. See? To show people what Commonwealth really means. So we'll try to sing this beautiful poem of Prabhupada. Maybe you wait a little while before you come in case I start on the wrong note or something. Okay, this is a little bit easier for me. Thank you. Thank you. There's a deep meditation and something to keep with us always. Baro Kripa Koile Krishna Adame Prati. Listen carefully. Baro Kripa Koile Krishna Adame Prati. Kilagia nileta koro begati. Kilagia nileta koro begati. Achekichu Kajata Bhava he anumane pache kichu kajata baba he anumane nahe kino anibe Euka stane nahe kino anibe Euka stane Rajastamo Gunehara Sabahe Achana Rajastamo Gunehara Sabahe Achana. You may have noticed that one of the aspects of this is that passion and ignorance subside. So we tend to be a little passionate. Let's put it in a different way. A little over-enthusiastic sometimes. And we come in quickly. In this age of Kali, the mode of goodness is very rare. And we want something really quick, right now. Patience is a virtue, they used to say. There's not much room for patience nowadays. But try to be a little slower coming in on the response. Not too slow, but not too quick. Vasudeva Kata Ruchina He Sekasana Vasudeva Kata Ruchina He Sekasana Tave Jadi Tava Kripa Hoy hoy Tuki Tave Jadi Tava Kripa Hoy hoy Tuki Sakali Sambhava hoy Tumi se kotoki Sakali Sambhava hoy Bolo Kibave Pujale Tara Puje Serasa Kibave Pujale Tara Muje Serasa Eta Kripa Karo Prabhu Kori Nijasha Eta Kripa Karo Prabhu Kohori Nijabasha Tomara Ichasava Hoy Mayavasha Tomara Ichayasava Hoy Mayavasha Tomara Ichayanasha Maya Parasha Tomarai Ichaya Maya Parasha Taba Icha Jadi Tadera Uda Taba Icha Jadi Tadera Uda Pujibe Nishchahe Tabe Kata Se Tomar Pujibe Nishchahe Tabe Kata Se Tomar Bhagavate Kata Se Bhagavata Bhagavate Katha Se Bhagavata Tiraya Sune Jadi Kane Baba Kiraya Suni Jadi Kane Barbar Shinvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Shinvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Vijantaksto Hiya Baranini Vedoniti Saritsatam Vidyantaksto Yabhadrani Vidonoti Saritsatam Anashtaprayesva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Nashtaprayesva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishike Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishike Tadarajastamo Bhavaham Kamolo Bhadayasjaye Tadarajastamo Bhavaham Kamalo Bhadaya Chetaitai Anavidam Titam Sate Prasidati Evam Prasannamanasto Bhagavat Bhakti Yogataha Evam Prasannamanasto Bhagavat Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Vidyagantis Chidyante Savasankayaha Vidyante Vidyagantis Chidyante Savasankayaha Shiyante Chashakarmani Drishtaivatmanishvare Shiyante Chashakarmani Drishtaivatmanishvare Rajastamo Hatitave Paive Nishta Rajastamo Hatitave Paive Nishta Vidaya Abhadrasate Guchibe Tahar Vidaya Abhadrasate Guchibe Tahar Ki korebu Javakata Baro se chahi Ki korebu Javakata Baro se chahi Kudrami dinahina Kono shakti nahi Kudrami dinahina Kono shakti Atacha eni chopavo Katavoi bhare Atacha eni chopavo Katavoi bhare Itoma ichha pavo koro e pare Itoma ichha pavo koro e pare Okalila Jagat Guru Vachana se amar Akila Jagat Guru Vachana se amar Alankita Koripar Kamata Tomar Alankita Koripar Kamata Tomar Hatava Kripa Halemo Kata Sudhave Tava Kripa Halemo Kata Sudave Shuniya Sabashoka Dukha de Butibe Shuniya Sabarashoka Dukha de Butibe Avani Acho Jari Prabhu Amahare Nachate Ani Acho Jari Prabhu Nachayo, Nachayo Prabhu Nachayo Sehemate Nachayo, Nachayo Prabhu Nachayo Pade Kashtera Putali Jata Nachayo Sehemate Kashtera Putali Jata Nachayo Semate Oh Bhakti Nai Nena Name Kutaro Bhakti Nai Vedanai Name Kutaro Ake Vedanta Name Satakoro Ake Vedanta Name Satakoro Ake Vedanta Name Something wrong here, isn't it? No. Bhakti Vedanta Namede Tathakoro Bhakti Vedanta Namede Tathakoro Bhakti Nai Vedanai Name Ubdaro Bhakti Nai Vedanai Name Ubdaro Bhakti Vedanta Name Tathakoro Bhakti Vedanta Name Tathakoro Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Markine Bhagavata Dharma ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Bol. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna for joining. Sorry, there was a little bit of difficulty sometimes with the font, the size, because my computer is refusing to accept Balaram font. I've had to put everything onto sort of a roundabout way to bring it through. Anyway, it's all to do with, anyway, I'll not get you involved in that. This modern control systems. Okay, take it away. Dhammadarastakam. We're now going to, for those who've just joined us, Alex, and Brendan, you've been having this in Boston? You've been having Dhammadarastakam in Boston Temple?
Yeah, in evening?
Yeah, off in the lamps. So this is customary during this month of Kartik. Vaishnavas all over the world perform this Damodar Astakam. They sing this song. We do some puja to Radha Damodar puja. And this is a great month for enhancing our spiritual lives, remembering Krishna, surrendering to Krishna more, dedicating our lives, giving up things which are not really Krishna conscious. So we're going to sing now. You're going to lead Kirtan, so give him the mic.